Hello, everybody, and welcome to Haunted Hotels Live Presents Dead Ends. This week, we're going to head to the amazing Shanley Hotel in New York. For those who don't know the backstory to it, it was originally built in 1845. There was a horrible fire that happened in the late 1800s, destroyed the Shanley Hotel. It was rebuilt shortly after, and then it was basically built in 1906, rebuilt for the namesake, who is James Shanley. So we're going to talk more about the history, more about the hauntings associated with this amazing haunted location in New York. But before that, we're going to touch base with my good friend and our teammate from Dead Ends, Richard Estep. Let's play the video.
The Shanley Hotel has been on my bucket list forever. I'm so excited that you guys are getting to investigate and try and unravel some of the hotel's mysteries. Its history is one primarily of being a bordello and a gentleman's club. What a wonderful phrase that is. And we can therefore assume that there have been some very intense energies taking place behind the walls of that hotel, both positive and negative, I would say. More recently, the hotel has been a hotspot for paranormal investigators to visit from across the US and around the globe. We're all aware that we bring our own baggage with us to an investigation, so I can't help but wonder what some of those people have brought with them unknowingly and what may have stayed behind. I wouldn't assume that everything the team encounters tonight, if they get any activity that is, would be linked directly to the Shanley's history and past. It may well be that it came in with somebody else. On the other hand, it's perhaps possible that some of the working girls or their customers have still remained behind as well. And I really hope that those voices are heard tonight. So, can't wait to see how it goes. All the very best.
And welcome back to Haunted Hotels Live Presents Dead Ends. Joining me is the one, the only Beckie Galentine. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Hi, thanks for having me. We are here in the Roosevelt room.
Yeah, so you're reporting from the Roosevelt room, and I hear that you had an experience in that room.
Yeah, so the last time I was here, I felt as though someone was gently brushing my hair. It was after a night of investigating. It was fairly quiet for the evening. We're laying down, and I feel something kind of brushing my hair gently back, and I felt like, am I pulling on my hair? And as I kept adjusting myself, I realized I need to just let this happen. It wasn't anything negative, just something kind of doing maybe like a nice gesture, possibly of female energy.
So that was my next question. Did you get a creepy male vibe at all? So you felt like it was a female kind of like being nice to you, kind of nurturing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't feel like someone being creepy or anything like that, or like trying to, give me any sort of negative feeling. I felt like I could sleep, and it was as if someone was kind of just gently brushing my hair as I fell asleep.
So, Becky, for people, if they don't know your backstory, you actually have a really interesting backstory before you started investigating and started posting videos on social media. What's your whole backstory?
So I grew up in an antique store, so I've always been exposed to historic locations and history. And as I progressed, I became interested in mortuary science, and I pursued a degree in that as well. So I'm very familiar with the afterlife and the process of death and dying and kind of the residual feelings associated with that.
So I will say, so the first time I met you, I didn't know, I didn't really follow you on social media. So you kind of pop into the Shanley Hotel, and I'm there with a lot of the people that are in the investigation tonight. And I had a male energy walk up to me when you walked into the room, and they said something like, talk to her, like almost like welcome her to the Shanley. And I don't know if you remember, Becky, but I was kind of like, I would like walk over. You were like talking to, I think, psychic medium Scott Davis, and I kept like walking over, like because the spirits were telling me to talk to you.
It was kind of an interesting thing because I had been told there were one or two other investigators there that night, and then it was just like this really warm, welcoming vibe, and I got introduced to you there. I can totally understand that, but yes, I was there with Scott.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, who is that? And then the male energy, strongly believe the male energy that was telling me that, it was telling me to welcome you. I think it may have been the former owner. His name is Sal. So he was coming through loud and clear. He also was talking about the use of spirit boards at the Shanley. Apparently, he didn't like that. Did you use spirit boards that night?
So Scott did, interestingly enough, he's a big proponent in using them. I'm someone who collects them, but I also am apprehensive when it's not my house or my location to explore in that way. But I know that they've been welcomed in the Shanley for a few years now. So that's interesting. But yes, Scott definitely used one at the table that evening, if you recall.
There's two different schools when it comes to spirit boards. I'm kind of in a school of, you have to basically use your own energy. You almost have to channel to be able to communicate using a spirit board. I do have spirit boards that I use as art as well. It's more of a the aesthetic and history thing that I'm interested in, but it's not necessarily something that I use out in the field.
Exactly. Because of all of the, when you're using one, it can be easily manipulated, especially if you're using it with someone else and you have to have a large amount of faith and trust in that person to be able to use it. But simply because of the stigma, especially around a lot of locations that have rules against that, I try to never break that rule. And I definitely don't try to use ones that are either community boards or ones that other people have used. I did bring one in that night. It was kind of like one that didn't have a home. So you probably picked up on that a little bit. But I do feel if it's a house rule, I try not to break that. And I don't use other people's because it's hard to say what intent was put into that previously.
Absolutely. So that while you were during that visit, Beckie, you actually created a video for social media that we're going to play now, which gives sort of the backstory to the Shanley Hotel. Let's play that video.
This hotel is so haunted that you have to sign a waiver before staying here. The Shanley Hotel was built after a fire destroyed the previous one in 1895. James and Beatrice Shanley purchased the hotel in 1906, and it was so successful it even caught the eye of the Roosevelts. However, 3 of the Shanley children died in the hotel before their first birthday. The hotel barber lived here with his family, but tragedy struck again when his daughter, Rosie, fell in a well nearby. During the 1918 pandemic, Beatrice's sister Esther fell ill and died here. She's now haunting the 3rd floor. Liquor was sold here during the Prohibition, and the 2nd floor was converted to a bordello. Getting caught bootlegging would normally be a punishable offense, but the Shanley's presidential connection helped them out. If you're brave enough to sleep here, be prepared for a colorful evening full of ghostly mob members, phantom children, and ladies of the night.
And welcome back to Dead Ends. So now joining us is going to be our chat producer and my good friend, Erin Taylor. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, doing great. So Erin, I hear that you have a new book out about sleeping with spirits.
Well, sleeping among spirits, sleeping with spirits, I think has a little bit of different connotation. Yes, my book was released on Wednesday of this week.
So sleeping among spirits, and you actually created a video, kind of giving us a backstory. And I will say, so tonight we're gonna do the double Estes method tonight. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up here. Double Estes method tonight. So any pointers? So we've actually have done the double Estes method when we were at the Hinsdale house. Any pointers for the investigators tonight doing that method?
Oh, wow. I actually really liked what we did at the Hinsdale, where we were in the same room, where we had different sides of the room, 2 different frequencies, because both you and the other investigator, Sarah, both were calling out like the exact same words. I mean, and this is actually, that storyline is in this book too, but where, I mean, it was very, very peculiar. So I would say definitely being one in, yeah.
So, I mean, it's basically like full-blown conversations, and I didn't hear what was going on, but based on what you reported when I was under and Sarah was under, and other people, Richard Estes said, I basically was kind of spewing kind of like obscenities, like really negative things, and Sarah was.
You were very rude.
Yeah,
not like you.
It wasn't me. I was channeling, so it wasn't. I wasn't. So Beckie, have you tried doing the double Estes method before?
Sure, and I found with the double Estes method, what's going to happen is either you're receiving confirmation from both sides, so the same response coming out of both investigators who are under, or alternatively, both people under may communicate with each other. So you may have 2 different entities kind of communicating back and forth and playing off each other's responses unknowingly. So it's interesting when you employ this method, especially since we are going to be set up in different locations tonight.
So
it's actually interesting.
Erin, so go ahead, Erin. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I was just going to say what Beckie had said. We'd had a location before where we had an Estes session, not at the Hinsdale, but it was the Estes where it was almost like the spirits were having a conversation like they thought that we didn't know, that they could hear it. And so that even could be something that could be picked up tonight too, if there's like a secret conversation that's occurring.
So Erin's going to be in the chat room all night, guys. Ask questions along the way, post comments, and Erin will post some of them. So just kind of be prepared. Your face will pop up along with the comments that you post. And also so Erin, was great seeing you, and thank you for manning the chat room of Dead Ends. And here is Erin's video.
So I've been investigating the paranormal since 2012, but only recently published my first book. This stemmed from a haunted road trip last summer with Richard Estep, where I had found myself sleeping in the strangest haunted places. Sleeping among spirits weaves the tales of my 20 nights at 15 reportedly haunted locations. 7 of these locations were hotels and inns around the U.S. Just like my amazing cast here on Dead Ends, I went in to explore and talk to the spirits of the old buildings with the purpose to sleep there that night, and sometimes in the most haunted room I could get. I encourage everyone to be curious and ask questions. Bring yourselves into the room and be mindful, especially if you decide to sleep among the spirits. You never know who might be watching you sleep.
And welcome back to Dead Ends. Now joining us is going to be the one, the only psychic medium, April Busset. Welcome to the show, April. April? Is April heading to the show? All right, so April apparently is not able to come on the show right now. Then we're going to actually go right to Lourdes. Lourdes, are you able to pop on the show?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Lourdes, how are you?
Hi, how are you? We're sitting here at the... Go ahead.
No, so I'm just excited. I'm excited that you're able to talk to Kelly about the amazing Shanley Hotel.
Yeah, we're sitting here at the gentleman's quarters, as you can see. And next to me is Kelly, who's the owner of the hotel.
Hi, how are you? How you doing, Sam?
Hey, doing great.
So we wanted to know if you can give us a brief history of the hotel.
Well, the original hotel was built in 1845 and burned down in 1895 and rebuilt within 6 months with no power tools, or hardly any power tools back then, obviously. And the Shanleys took it over in 1906, and that's where the hotel got its notoriety. The Shanleys were very prominent businessmen from the New York City area. We've been told by the Shanley clan that Times Square was almost called Shanley Square. Mr. Shanley was reportedly involved with the Irish Mafia, and I think he kind of brought that segment of the population up here too, because there's a lot of secrets in this hotel.
Okay.
And then it just became popular and been a hotel and an inn all the way until Sal purchased it in tax auction in 2005. The home was completely destroyed on the inside, and he gave his blood, sweat, and tears and redid and tried to save this building. And that's what I feel like I'm trying to do still.
Yeah, I've never met Sam, but I've never heard anything bad about him.
Oh, he was an amazing man.
So since being the owner here at the hotel, have you had any paranormal experiences?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to volunteer here for Sal. I've been here since 2011. So I'm not anything new to the hotel. But they're my second family. The spirits are my second family. I used to call it my second home. Now it's my first home. I live here in Sal's old apartment. And I just, I felt compelled when I knew that the Shanley was in trouble and, going up for another tax auction. And I just felt that I had to try to save the building again.
That's a great thing that you're doing for the hotel. Yeah. Is there any pictures you want to discuss? Anything new that you've captured?
Yeah, well, we captured an amazing capture in just last week. and it's a full-blown person. It was cast onto a piece of plywood. It's called Luan. It's not actually plywood. It's a certain properties, and I'm wondering if that property of that wood was able to help cast this image. And it was incredible.
Sam, you know which image, right?
Yeah, right there.
That's it, right there. If you can see right on top on the right-hand side corner, that's the face.
I think we have a version that's bigger too. The image right after that, Tony, is actually a larger image where you can actually see yeah, there we go.
See his face. And you can see a beard and a broad lapel jacket. Now, the interesting thing is Scotty, the medium, New Jersey medium, Scott Davis, has always said this man in that particular room described him to a T. And, you know, the uniform and everything, pacing. Every time he goes in here, he's pacing. And I immediately sent this picture to Scott, and he's like, that's him. That's 1000% him. And he goes, I just got chills, because he said that's him, he's been describing every time he comes here.
I mean, that's a great capture. Yeah. Don't you agree, Sam? That's great.
Absolutely. And like when I saw that, I got shivers, because I actually had a male energy when I was staying there. I was approached by a male energy, and the male energy, there was definitely an older, like kind of ancient male energy, and there was something a little bit newer that may or may not belong to the Shanley. And I suspect that it's probably the spirit that was picked up there. It's something also to point out too, guys, looking at the geology of what's happening at the Shanley. There's a lot of quartz in the ground. We're going to talk a little bit more about why there would be residual energy at the Shanley. It's almost like it amplifies the paranormal activity there. And it's also, what's interesting about that is it's also the case at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado too. So Tony Rathman, our producer, is actually going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show, about the geology. But absolutely, it's really, really creepy. And I will say that the room you guys are in, the gentleman's quarters, I had an experience there too. So Kelly, what about the energy in that room specifically?
Well, the gentleman's quarters was for men only back in when the Shanleys owned it. The women were not allowed in here. And it was smoking, drinking, gambling, and possibly waiting their turn upstairs with the ladies of the evening. And I've gotten in here that, women are not allowed to gamble. I ask straight out, are we allowed to gamble? You are not allowed to gamble. And so they are a little hesitant with the women here. They come to not like the women being in here, but it depends on the night. It depends on which spirits happen to voice their opinion. Some of them don't mind so much, but a lot of times we'll get the ladies are not allowed in here.
And I would agree, because one time when I was at the beginning to investigate the Shanley, I sat on one of the beds and we got an EVP. It said, get off the bed. They did not want me on the bed. So, and then Kelly, I have to ask you, what is up with that spooky clown mask that is now housed in the Shanley Hotel?
We were that was how we offered our home to the clown. He's named himself. He's named himself Mort. Yeah.
He's spooky.
Yeah. Scott Davis actually gave me that clown mask to hold on to, and he's been in that briefcase, and we only open it if he tells us, says his name or tells him to let him out, which is most likely probably at least 80% of the time he will talk to us and let us know that he wants out of that box.
Yeah, the last time I was here, when they opened the box, I got nauseous and I got a pain right here in the back of my head by my ears. And as soon as you closed that box and you moved on to another room, I was fine. So there's something up with that mask.
Yeah, I never touched him. Yeah. I don't touch him.
That's right. And that night,
do not touch him.
She was just about to touch the mask, and a female voice coming out of a ghost box said, "Don't." And Kelly was like, "Okay, not touching it."
Clear as a bell. I was like, "Okay, I'll come over and touch you." And it's been 2 years. And I went over and I was just about to, and the woman said, don't.
Yeah, but we were all like, it said don't.
Don't have to tell me twice.
And Lourdes, I remember my reaction.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you screamed and ran.
He was like, ah! He ran out. I should have known from then.
I turned around and went, where'd Sam go?
I know, right? You see the smoke. Bye, Sam.
I'm terrified. So I'm terrified of clowns, but when you add a mask that has energy attached to it, it's really negative, coupled with clowns, it was like the ultimate terrifying thing. So I literally went out screaming.
Wish I had it on video.
I know.
That's a great segue. So speaking of video, we actually have Lourdes' video, which Lourdes, I love this video, by the way. It really cracks me up. But Lourdes will give us some backstory to her experiences at the Shanley Hotel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lourdes Gonzalez, and I would like to share with you some of my experiences investigating the haunted Shanley Hotel. I love the Shanley. This is a place where I got touched for the very first time by someone I could not see. Yeah, it freaked me out because it was the first time this had ever happened to me. But the touch felt loving, and it actually made me feel welcomed at the hotel. Within the past year or so, a clown mask has been brought into the hotel in order to help a family that was experiencing paranormal activity once they brought in the mask into their lives. During a recent investigation, Ron Yacovetti and I received a direct radio voice that said, "Let Lourdes touch the mask." I wasn't touching that clown, as in my opinion, there's something quite not right about that mask. It will be interesting to see what psychic mediums Sam Baltrusis and April Busset pick up on this mask, as Dead Ends Tonight investigates the haunted Shanley Hotel.
And welcome back, everybody. So before I'm hoping that April Busset is able to join us to hopefully get a shot from the outside of the Shanley Hotel. April, are you able to join us?
I think she's going up to the bordello.
Oh, she's going up to the bordello. Okay. All right, April. So we're gonna join April later, but so is Beckie ready to do her chat? Beckie, are you set up already in the mirror room?
Yep, I'm all set up down here. I hope you guys can see me okay. I kind of have the infrared light. I'm going to try and pull back so you can get a full view of the mirror in the seance room. A lot of people use this either by focusing intent by looking directly in it the way I am now. It's a beautiful antique mirror if you can't really see it in person, but I can pull it back so you guys can get a good view of that, and maybe we can dim the light a little bit.
All right, so I really also too, like, I know April was walking up the stairs, but I'm hoping that April can kind of give us her impressions of what she's picking up at the Shanley Hotel tonight. April, are you able to come back on and fill us in what you're picking up at the Shanley Hotel? April, are you there? Okay. Apparently April's audio is not working. But all right, so let's bring back Lourdes and Kelly back on. So Lourdes, can you walk through the area?
Sure.
Yeah, so I want you to show us the doorway to the bordello outside of the gentleman's quarters.
So the lighting isn't that great here. Can you? Okay. So this is the entrance to the bordello. It's kind of dark. You're not gonna be able to see.
Yeah, it's really dark, Lourdes. I really can't see much of anything.
I can try to.
With that, if you can go ahead.
But this is the entrance way. I'm gonna close it up though because it was there, causing some feedback. But let's go back to the here. but we can discuss. And you did pick up where I just showed a garden at some time. Is it in the doorway?
Okay. Yeah. So I unfortunately. So Lourdes, can you go into the actual where Ron is, and we're gonna introduce Ron. Bring on Ron. Okay.
All right, we can do that. So let's go this way. And I am going to shut off for Ron. Is that it? Okay.
There we go. It's Ron Yacovetti. Hi. So unfortunately, so Lourdes, I can hardly hear you on the video. But so Ron, can you? We're gonna play Ron Yacovetti's video, explaining his experiences working at the Shanley Hotel.
Hi, my name is Ron Yacovetti, and as a practitioner of ITC, instrumental transcommunication, my partner Lourdes Gonzalez and I have had an area of specificity called direct radio voice, or DRV. Now, in all the years we've been doing direct radio voice research, the first time and place that we took this method out into the ghost hunting field was at the Shanley Hotel. Now, the method, completely unknown for the most part to people who were ghost hunters, we took somewhere we knew was already an active location. So at the Shanley Hotel, a number of things happened through direct radio voice that really not only vetted the method, but also for us showed how active this place really is on a vocal level. The first time early on, we just brought this big boombox, a world band radio running an empty white noise frequency on long wave. And eventually, as we learned how to fine tune and hone in on the voices, what happened is not only us who've been doing this for a while, but even the patrons and Kelly herself, the owner of the Shanley, was able to hear the voices. We had an instance where somebody was monitored on a camera and something happened, and then Kelly goes, "Should I go upstairs?" And immediately a voice, male, out of the speaker, direct radio voice said, "Get the upstairs." That was staggering. Kelly and Lourdes both kind of stepped back when they heard it. To even the most recently, where we had, due to an artifact, by the way, which is in the Shanley, brought in by psychic medium Scotty, it is a clown mask that has made many a person, including Sam Baltrusis, feel very uncomfortable. So very recently, a direct radio voice came out of the speaker that said, "Let Lourdes touch the mask. Get that thing out." And it's only speculation, but we think that's one of the spirits of the Shanley that also doesn't like what's on that mask and wanted someone to be its vehicle out of there.
Awesome. So let's try to pull April back up on the show. April, are you working?
Hey guys,
turn on your audio.
You know, it's funny. Your spirits are already working hard. You know what's funny? I started feeling electrical shock, so I was outside, and all of a sudden the Wi-Fi just died.
Oh.
So
okay. So
I was feeling shaky when I first got here, because the energy is very high.
I'm definitely picking up a lot of energy for that as well. Like, and also too, so we have Beckie right downstairs from you, April,
Yes.
in the mirror room. Are you picking up any energy down there with her? I'm getting something like a male energy in that room.
I definitely feel a male energy down there by her.
All right, so Beckie, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. When she first got here, I was picking up like one of her guides with her is a female, an older female that follows her, that protects her. So Beckie's well protected, but there is a male energy in there with her. But I always said there's a very strong male energy here that was in the basement that I don't like, the non-human one. Not the D word, but it's the one I call the soul collector. And his energy is now, you could feel throughout the whole hotel.
Yeah, so I when I was in the gentleman's quarters, I felt there was like a sinister male energy that when I woke up, it was like a sinister laughter, which I always do when I join us, if you dare. Kind of like a kind of nefarious laughter. Well, that laughter was almost like mocking the laughter that I do on social media when I woke up. And I thought maybe someone was playing a joke on me, but it turns out it was actually nobody was in the room. So there's definitely a male energy that is
Definitely.
like
I'm
not,
telling you, I
not
encountered
human.
this person 2 years ago, and he made me so sick. He actually penetrated my core of my soul that I was sick for a week. But I came back here a year later, and he told me he's no longer staying in the basement. He's going to be throughout the whole hotel. And there's definitely a different, scarier vibe here throughout the hotel. Even like the last time that I was here, I was violently pushed. I was rushed at. We had a woman. Well, you had experienced the screaming woman. That was one of my very first encounters here. I went into this room. I was feeling drawn to this room, and as soon as I walked in, this woman charged at me, screaming at the top of her lungs, screaming out the windows, screaming at me, and then she tried to jump me to get inside me. And the last time, now I came back here a year ago, and I was with another group, and it actually woke Kelly up. The woman started screaming from one side of the hotel to the other side of the hotel and woke Kelly up.
Yeah, so the screaming woman that we encountered on the third floor, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that situation later on the show, because hopefully you guys are going to be able to go up to the third floor. But
Yeah.
my ears are ringing right now, April, but also too, like, she followed me home, so I heard that woman screaming at home, like almost like help me kind of thing.
She tried to jump me. She was trying to embody me. You know, personally, if I was the spirit, I would, go for a 6-foot bikini model, but she chose me.
Well, then she chose you, and then she chose me because she kind of followed me home too. So Becky, I'm a little worried about you down. Can we get an update of how things are going in the mirror room for you?
So it was fairly quiet down here, and then when you guys started talking, you could feel like the breeze come through. I'm just feeling like an imposing sensation, like almost as if something were like placing its hand directly behind me, but I don't know exactly what it is or have any specific insight into what's going on down here. But I'm okay. I'm feeling okay.
I just
All
got
right, so
touched
just like,
right now.
yeah, so
Very lightly.
orientation-wise, so Becky is downstairs. April is right upstairs in the bordello. April, so what are you picking up upstairs in the bordello? I know that the negative male energy is throughout the whole thing, but are you getting anything upstairs in the bordello?
I'm not getting anything negative up here. I just had a female touch me very lightly on my back.
Now, do we feel safe doing the Estes method?
I feel very safe here.
Okay, Becky, how about you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right,
Quite
so we're gonna.
honestly, I've never felt anything negative up here in this part of the hotel. This is the safest part, I think.
But Becky's in the downstairs area where there is negative male energy. so Becky's kind of like our ghost bait right now at the Shanley Hotel.
You keep your
Oh,
negative
boy.
guy with you.
Okay, so I want to check in with Ron and Lourdes as well. Ron and Lourdes, are you guys? Hey guys.
What's up, Mr. Sam? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you good. The audio is definitely working better. So
good.
So you've been running. You have had a lot of success with running your setup there multiple times. And anything happened tonight specifically so far? I know it takes a while for it to kind of warm up.
And so it's weird. One of the most predictable things about the paranormal, as we all know, is that it's not predictable. So we've had instances when we turn this thing on and it's talking like they were waiting and conversation starts. And there's other instances when it does take a certain amount of time to either form the connection bridge between realms, to connect, to get some kind of vocalization. We really never know, but I have been testing it and running it for a little while before we even started the broadcast tonight. And I have heard vocals, and I've tweaked a little bit to try to clean it up to make it more discernible. But we've had pretty good luck in this location. As recently as I think you're going to have the clip, the Lourdes touched the mask thing that was happened. That was just recently. We've gotten several things out of the direct radio voice in this location.
I mean, as soon as he turned it on, I heard sweetheart. So
Yeah.
he was calling him sweetheart.
I've been called worse. recently on the way here in the car. Long story. Point is, this place is fantastic, and we all believe that the morphic resonance, the energy of the collective group, has something to do with it, and we couldn't be working with a better cast of people tonight. I think that's only going to help.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Ron, I think the idea is so while you're running that, we're gonna have Beckie and Lourdes do the Estes method. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It
All
sounds
right,
good.
Beckie and Beckie and April. Beckie and April, are you guys ready to do the Estes method?
We're
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna start asking questions. All right, so is there a male energy with Beckie right now?
Hello.
Hi, sir. What's your name? Can you give us a name?
Me.
What's your name, sir? Do you have a name?
I'm here. It's time.
It's time, sir. Time to what? What would you like to do?
Her. 4. Leave.
April? Is there someone in the room with you?
Ron. Now.
That's not ominous at all.
Get out of here.
That's kind of the energy that I'm getting. It's a male energy that directed towards doesn't like some of the women in the house.
Can you tell us your name?
This place. Play now.
So Lourdes, he's not saying his name, he's just saying me. Do you think it may be a sign that it may not be a person,
Your name?
maybe a thought form?
That could be possible. I mean, he's not giving a name and he's trying to intimidate by saying run.
Yeah, kind of aggressive.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about women?
2 out.
So Lourdes, it looks like April is not picking up anything on upstairs.
Ron.
So can you tap out April?
Okay, I will do that.
I need her to overlook Beckie.
Yeah,
Okay.
even though I think April just got
Walk.
run. Yeah, she just got the same thing that Beckie did.
Run. Okay.
Come on.
You want me to tap her out though?
Yeah, I want to make sure that Beckie's safe. That's my main goal.
For
All
what?
right, so you want me to tap out April though?
Yeah, because I
Or
want her to
Beck-
protect Beckie. I want her to protect Beckie. So we're not going to do duel.
Okay.
Okay.
Saying something up there.
All right.
Sir, do you have a problem with Beckie? Or the women in
The cat.
family?
Where's the cat?
Well, that's Phantom Footsteps. Or is that April?
2 of them.
Oh, 2 of them. Okay. Are there 2 spirits or 2 people that you have issues with?
Grow up. I hate
Is your
it.
name Michael? The question is asked, is your name Michael?
Why are they here?
Is it Michael?
I'm sorry.
is your name Joe? No. And there's a gentleman named Joe that's supposed. Oh, what about Frank? Is it Frank? Yes. So it's Frank. I'm using my dowsing rods. I use these a lot out in the field. They are charged by a high priestess. Some people are not big dowsing rod fans. I love my dowsing rods. Is Beckie in danger? Yes. Beckie's in danger. I really feel like that. April.
1 minute. Stop.
All right, so Ron, are you picking anything up with your
They're
direct
walking.
video?
Hey. There you go. You hear me now? There you go.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So if you saw me off camera, I might have looked like I had like 80 pounds of sugar and couldn't control my physical movements. I was flipping out because when you started doing the double Estes, I was getting April and Beckie's name were coming out of the direct radio voice on the speaker.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Both names came out, and then I think it responded to something Beckie said in the other room doing her Estes, which is good because she can't hear what I'm doing, and I can only hear her responses.
Right. So the goal is that we, like when it comes, I know that other people are investigating there now, but also like maybe focus on what you're picking up on your direct voice radio as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to correlations that would have anything to do with what I was hearing April or Beckie say, but the thing that kind of knocked me off my seat a little bit was in the beginning, it said April and Beckie, then it said their names separately when you were talking to them.
Right. So Tony Rathman, I'm gonna bring you up on the camera now. We're gonna talk a little bit about the geology of the Shanley Hotel. Hey Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here, Sam.
Hey, so some technical issues, and I will say this, that happens with the ghosties, right? Like when the ghosties are in the house, they're gonna cause major technical issues.
Absolutely happens all the time, so that can be expected.
And so I also think when it comes to Ron was definitely just to validate what was going on behind the scenes. So Ron was picking up stuff that was tying into what was going on with Beckie and with April as well. But we were not able to, I guess, to chronicle that, to validate that. But working with Ron, he definitely is able to validate what's going on when I'm doing the Estes method or if I'm doing a seance.
Yeah, well, the fact that he said that it mentioned both Beckie and April's name while you were discussing them through the direct radio voice, I mean, that's a direct correlation to what was being talked about, and he verified it. The DRV has no way to, Ron can't input those names. It literally said them on their own, and that's fantastic.
So I'm hoping, so the next thing, I really am hoping that April and Beckie and Lourdes can head up to the third floor to be able to communicate with the energies that are up there, because we did have an experience with a female spirit screaming, needing help before. So hopefully all three of them can head upstairs. And also to Tony, I wanted to talk to you about the geology of the location. Looking at the geology of Shanley Hotel and that part of New York, it's right by the Catskill Mountains. It's really close to a lot, like there's the penitentiary that's nearby too, which is built all with quartz. A lot of like stone that was found in the ground. So this is surrounded by quartz rock. Does quartz actually amplify paranormal activity?
Well, the crystalline makeup of quartz amplifies energy as a whole. I mean, and this is a scientifically proven fact. This isn't something somebody made up. This isn't something it's a proven fact. quartz crystal is one of the hardest mediums out there. It's like a 7 on the Mohs scale of hardness. Diamond being a 10, which is the hardest substance. But the makeup of quartz crystal is that it can actually produce energy, and it can hold electricity. It can hold emotional energy, and not only can it hold it, but it also can release it. So from a paranormal standpoint, a quartz crystal, if that, and quartz is found all over the planet, and it's one of the most known substances in the Earth's structure. But to have quartz underneath the Shanley gives it the ability to amplify the energy that's there, whether that's positive energy, whether that's negative energy, whatever is there, it's going to pull that energy in, it's going to release it at times, and it's going to amplify that energy. So yeah, quartz absolutely has the ability to do that.
So let's bring in Erin, our chat producer. Erin, I know that we had some questions that popped up along the way, and I wasn't really able to read the questions because I can't see. But so what were some of the questions people were asking?
More or less, we had some of the questions that were guided more towards the Estes session themselves. We had Rachel, who was curious about the spirit named Michael, and you did ask that question about him. And then she was also concerned about a and I just lost it. But if Beckie was going to be harmed, and so going back to that, if she was safe.
Yeah, so so we're protecting. So Beckie does have protection there. I just wanted to pull her out. So to kind of give you some idea, when you do the Estes method, you go under. So sometimes if you have the ability to channel, you can actually sometimes go in a state where you get attacked by entities, and that happened to me. If you've seen the 100th episode of A Haunting, I was channeling, and I didn't know I was channeling, and I ended up picking up an attachment that followed me home. So it can be very dangerous. Especially if you have more sensitivity to this stuff, and especially if you can channel. So we saw this with our friend Sarah. She was deeply affected by doing the Estes method as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Where actually we almost take on like that empathetic, where you take on the feelings, you almost take on that persona when you didn't have that before. Now, what Rachel was concerned about was the male to the left who is wondering why she is there. So if that's something, not so much if there's someone, and I don't know if, sorry?
So I don't necessarily think it was like she was in danger per se, but she was in danger as in like it could possibly attach itself to her. Like that's what I'm worried about. It's not like he's going to scratch her or push her or that sort of thing. But I also think that some of the spirits of the Shanley, because it was a bordello, can be a little aggressive towards women. And have you seen that happen, Erin? I know you wrote a book called Sleeping Among Spirits. Like anything where women were attacked in a potentially like sexual or negative way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we definitely hear about where women, even 50, 60 years ago, that women didn't have as many rights as men, where in some cultures, women are still known as property. There's been some investigations where women are more likely to be touched inappropriately. My investigation, I was at Edinburgh Manor, and one of my investigators, Brittany, had her hair stroked. I mean, it can definitely happen where we can have a male on location and they're not going to be touched, but the women are going to be, have more of those aggressive spirits, almost like a bullying, and then kind of wonder if that's how they were in life and after. I did investigate one brothel in Cripple Creek, Colorado, where we did see some of that, even treatment as well, even though in that brothel, women were treated a lot better, more higher class. But at the same time, women definitely have a different treatment.
All right, so Erin, thank you so much for manning the chat rooms. I know it's been a little, like we've had some tech issues tonight, but with that said, I mean, I still think the reason why we're having tech issues is because there's a lot of ghosts in the Shanley Hotel. So it's kind of to be expected, you know? So we're going to bring on, hopefully bring on Beckie back to the show, to the ladies upstairs. So Beckie, are you upstairs?
Yes, I'm upstairs. There's feedback though.
Okay, so there should be one camera, so whose camera is going to work?
Okay.
So I'm going to be using ours. Okay, no, it's
So
not.
we have to drop out of mine or this one? I'm going to drop out of this one, and this is what?
Lourdes.
Yeah, Lourdes. Switch to Lourdes' camera.
Okay. Hello, Lourdes and Beckie and April. How are you?
Name.
All right. So yeah, so there was an issue with that. You guys were muted. So welcome back. So we're going to now. So Beckie, so we were getting some people concerned about your well-being. Did you feel unsafe at all down in the mirror room?
So when I was under, I actually got a word that I wasn't able to say out loud. And that's when I started to feel like kind of overwhelmed. And then when you hear me say, I'm sorry, you watch me bite my tongue and then apologize. And that's when the dynamic kind of shifted. So I try not to pay too much credence to the different vocals I was getting, but it was like almost as if the energy in the room, the voices that were coming through just became overwhelming. And that's when I kind of paused. But when you watch me bite my tongue, that's when the type of verbiage that's being used changes.
Yeah, so I definitely was getting that you were under attack. I was more worried about it was going to try to scare you, but also too, when you're in that state, Beckie, you can actually pick up an attachment. So that's another thing that I was worried about. So I was wanting the April to kind of to be there with you. I know April said you were fine. You have a protector. You do have a protector, but it always helps to have someone kind of like, you know, possibly spray. You know, April has her special return to sender spray that she can maybe like douse you with. Available on april.com.
Also, when I was upstairs, something kept like rushing up behind me, but that felt like a male. Like the whole time I was there, I only felt female energy because something had touched my side very softly. But while I had my headphones on, I felt the male rush up on me. The female was on the right, the male was on the left.
All right, so I'm hoping that, so I want to try one of you guys to decide amongst yourself who should do the Estes method upstairs. I think Beckie seems to be getting the most effective responses. But I like having April, I like having you with her just to make sure she's okay. Okay, so tap her out, she goes under.
Yeah, and this third floor, this is the very hairy part of the hotel.
Yeah, so give us some context. Where are you?
This is, what room is this?
It's not Joe's.
It's not Joe's.
It's the room on the very far
left when you come up the stairs. I actually, one of the times I was here, had seen a woman walking around, but it was residual. She was very kind. She was cleaning the room. Now, if we go on to the other side, this is where the screaming woman is. But I will tell you, we were here last year. We got rushed in this room, and we have it on video. We hear the footsteps coming at us.
Yeah, so that's where also, so Beckie, we talked a little bit about the idea of Joe, and Joe's supposedly the serial killer that hangs out at the Shanley Hotel. I don't think that there's any historical proof that Joe actually exists. What are your thoughts on Joe? And Joe supposedly stays up in the area that you guys are currently investigating.
I think most people who've been to the Shanley have experienced Joe, whatever may be posing as Joe, either as some sort of thought form or something like that. I've investigated that room multiple times, and you are going to kind of experience a male energy that uses profanity and kind of gives you this like imposing sense. But again, in his chair, there's been so much intent putting into the chair that allegedly belonged to Joe that I do believe in some connotation that Joe will be picked up.
Yeah.
But again, without the historical context, you may somehow you won't have that evidence that he was a living human being.
I want to interject. I have sat on that chair and nothing has ever happened to me. I felt calm and relaxing. That's just my experience from sitting in that chair.
I don't think the chair does anything.
Yeah.
But I remember we were here the one time, and somebody asked me where Joe was, and they were all in the kids' room, and I said, well, he's not there. I said, he's over there across the hall. With that, I got punched in the back of the head by Joe. So,
I remember my first time here, actually, Kelly had been running the spirit box, and she said, you know, Joe is in here and he likes to call me a certain name. And immediately that was validated. And if you ask permission to sit in the chair, you'll get yes or no responses. But again, it's not, without the historical context, it's hard to say what Joe could be.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and try to
serial killer.
No.
Yeah, let's go ahead and try to have one of you guys start doing the Estes method again, and also to Lourdes. So what's the latest with Ron? I know that was there some issues downstairs with the other with reverb downstairs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go downstairs and check. You guys, you guys do your thing here, and I'll get right back to you.
And Lourdes, you may have to run back upstairs if one of them is. So April's there to protect Beckie. So I feel good.
Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go on there.
All right, so Beckie, we're gonna start asking questions for you.
All right, out for me, everybody.
I got you.
Send positive vibes to Beckie. So I'm actually gonna do a crystal shield of protection for Beckie. So breathe in your nose, out your mouth. Ura shokriyo.
Amen.
Ura shokriyo. Ura shokriyo. Shakaray, shakaray, shakaray. Sahiki, sahiki, sahiki. Protection, protection, protection. Communication, communication, communication. Zonar, zonar, zonar. All right, so amen. So my crystal shield of protection.
I'm here already. You hear her?
No, what is she saying?
She said, a man behind you. I'm here already.
Okay.
Who's this?
April, introduce yourself.
Hi.
Hello, this is April Busset.
Hi.
I'm a psychic medium. I'm here to protect Beckie. Please be kind to both of us. But
Why are they here?
We want to give your story.
I can't.
We want to tell your story the way you would love us to. How that you want the public to know the true story behind the Shanley about you guys. Who's Joe?
I believe them.
He trusts us.
Leave
Maybe not.
them. You know what I do?
What?
Who's the woman that screams? I want to know her story.
The problem's in that cemetery.
Is there a cemetery close by?
We need to look into that. If there's a
Yeah.
cemetery close by, I'm assuming there's the well where the little girl drowned outside.
That was
Down.
down.
There may be
Who's
graves
the
on the
cemetery?
property. I'm getting that. Any when you stayed there before, any idea that there may be graves on the property?
Yes. In the back of the building and to the left.
It's his first time.
You know, I just got the most horrible feeling of like an animal.
Like a non-human entity. Yeah.
Like not the one that resides in the basement, something else that goes on the property. And
I got that too.
It stands on both feet, but it also goes on all fours, like almost like an ape.
Reply.
I mean, I was picking up on something really similar, April. The last time there was an elemental in nature, so it's not.
Yeah, it's very elemental.
I wouldn't say it's a cryptid. I would say it's more of like a monster, like if that makes any sense.
That's exactly. I don't feel like it's an elemental. I've dealt with them before. When I feel an elemental around me, I get electrical shocks because it's.
I feel you.
I feel you.
So for April, people don't understand. Elementals are neither good nor bad, but they're usually Native American in nature. So we have puckwudgies here in New England. Is there like a puckwudgie equivalent up in New York or New Jersey?
Not that I know of. I've dealt with them. I was in New York and up New England, Rhode Island.
Well, there are reports of puckwudgies that have So Beckie, so we were talking and poor Beckie was under. Sorry, Beckie. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sometimes I get like that sensation of like heart palpitations, like that.
Yeah. We were just like blobbing away, and it's like poor Beckie was like,
I know, she's
run.
She's good.
What? So April, we have to translate the Estes method session that Beckie just had. So Beckie, the things did match up. It's the idea of kind of like you said amen. I was doing crystal shield of protection for you. There were also things that matched up. So what other things that matched up, April? So they talked about a cemetery. There's something wrong in the cemetery. What do you think? What's going on there? So
I'm not
Beckie,
sure if there's a cemetery nearby, but I always felt that there's graves. But of course, anywhere we go in the country, you're going to find some type of grave site. But what do you feel? Is there a grave site? Any cemeteries nearby?
Well, there is a cemetery like just right up the street.
I passed that.
Yeah, it's on a hill. But
I'm sure the people from here are buried there.
I would like to draw attention to the fact that I've literally never had an Estes session say anything about like cemeteries like that. Like that's an unusual word to come through, and the way it came through was multiple frequencies sweeping over. So it was like there's in a cemetery, and I was like, that's unusual.
And you said first, you said a man behind you.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Right. And again, I don't give credence to the voices coming through because that can't be validated in that way. They're just utilizing what's available. But it was repetitive. A man, like I can confirm that I heard that 3 times. But aside from everything else, I don't recall what was happening as it was happening.
Because we were yapping away.
No, I literally was like so out of it, aside from the cemetery thing and being able to snap out and say,
so
what was that?
Really starting to chat. I know that's what. When you do the Estes method, you do go into a trance-like state. You get caught up with the spirits through the radio, especially you're using the S box.
So I just have the SB7, and it's sweeping very rapidly. I try to avoid, not going rapidly enough.
I highly recommend. So SBox 7 is actually really good for Estes method. I use the SBox as well. Depends on where I'm at, but I prefer using SBox 7. I also use noise cancellation earphones, and also you have
that's what we've been using. We have the noise cancellation. I was using the SBox, but I do like the SB7 better.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the simplicity of the SB7 is
exactly
good. So. But the thing is, like, I am apprehensive when someone comes out of that trance and then is able to recall everything. And
it's hard,
like, how did you consciously process that?
I should brought my pad because usually when we do this, somebody has a pad and writes everything down. Mm-hmm. So I did have my pad, but it's downstairs, I believe. So I think that was a pretty good session.
Yeah, so we're getting close to the end of the show. So I'm hoping that there's some way what you can do as someone who works with the spirits and also is really good about protection to hopefully like maybe offer something to the spirits to say like, listen, we're trying our best to tell your story, kind of like an offering. So
yes, that's what I was doing in the beginning. If you heard me while she was doing it, I said, you know, I'm telling we want to tell your story the way you want it to be told, so that people will really know the true story behind the Shanley and the spirits that reside here. We want to give them a voice. I would really love to give that woman in the back, I would like to go to that room and give her a voice, the screaming woman, because she's obviously in some type of pain.
All right, so is that in the third floor? Are you guys gonna maybe walk over to the screaming woman, or?
Yeah, that sounds good. Want to do that? Would you bring? And I'll bring the camera.
So, April, so because we're having some tech issues, we may not want to go too far. So if you can actually reach out to the woman and just direct the camera so we can see what's going on. But
okay,
because I don't really want to mess up the stream, what's going on in there. It's really hard to see anyway, as is. It really would be good to have like a light of some sort.
I do. I'm just putting it in front of me for now, so
Okay.
while we walk. All right. I don't believe anybody's here right now.
Becky, you did a great job in the Estes method. Thank you for doing
She
that.
did a fantastic job.
It's definitely a different energy doing it tonight than some nights, you know, where you just feel like you're hearing random things.
And another thing too that a lot of people don't realize, I'm in a school where like when we investigate at these haunted hotels, people are like they're like, now you have to sleep at the location where you're investigating. What are your guys' thoughts about investigating at a place you're going to sleep at?
Well, I don't know about you. The last time I was here, I have that lock on my door. I have double locked. When I woke up, my door was open. Now, anyone that knows the rooms here at the Shanley, they can't be open from the outside. It's only from the inside. I woke up and my door was wide open.
What
I brought
about
a camera
you,
with me.
Do you feel uncomfortable at all? Like,
Sorry, I have to see this.
Set down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to sit this down while she does her. Okay.
Oh boy, we just kind of cut out a little bit. Okay.
it sounded like something really heavy fell over, or something really loud fell over.
Oh man, we're just completely losing all signal in this room for some reason.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so that's what I was worried about.
Can you
so
hear
guys,
us?
so I can hear you. If you could, I'm gonna say to the spirits, thank you so much for sharing your story tonight on Haunted Hotels Live Presents. And also, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've had definitely some technical issues when it comes to the various rooms at the Shanley Hotel. I would like to go back in the future and maybe dig a little deeper. I think Becky did an amazing job. Also, we have April Busset, who was able to chime in and also report from the spirits on the third floor as well. We have Lourdes Gonzalez, who did an amazing job telling the history, working with Kelly. And then we have Ron Yacovetti, who does a great job with the DRV, and he has a lot to say when it comes to working at the Shanley Hotel and knowing the ghosts at the Shanley. It seems like they don't necessarily want us to do a live stream from from the property. And then also, of course, we have our producer, Tony Rathman, and our chat producer, Erin Taylor. Congratulations, Erin, on an amazing book that just came out, Sleeping Among Spirits. So, guys, you have to check it out. So April, Becky, I'm hoping that you can have like last words before we check out of Haunted Hotels Live Presents. Any last words? So I guess not. So no last words. So the last words is silence.
No, we're in Joe's room right now.
Oh, you're in Joe's room. I think that's a better location.
Yeah,
so, Becky,
we had to move.
Becky, are you afraid to sleep at the hotel after investigating it tonight and kind of going under?
No, I don't think there's anything here that made me feel like I was potentially in harm's way. It's just an imposing energy is a lot different than something that has a malicious intent.
Just
Such bad
Absolutely.
lighting here.
I have something to say.
Oh.
And
When we
didn't
were
talk a lot there.
downstairs,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when we were downstairs in the direct radio voice part of it, we got Richard Estep's name. We asked
Oh.
what con was he attending? It said Dragon. And
Oh,
what
that's
else?
crazy.
I'm trying to remember what else. It was it said, this is a project, why are they talking? And I'm thinking it was referring to you two.
Okay.
So I wanted to say that because I know you're going to check out, but you know.
I'm trying to get this light.
Are you sure that wasn't reported from in our chat room and it was just picking up the chat room?
Maybe.
So,
So I
just to
wanted to say
reiterate,
that.
so Richard Estep is one of our teammates. He's not able to make it tonight because he's at Dragon Con. So we did see a clip from him in the very beginning. But so the spirits are reaching out to Richard Estep. So that to me is a very first of all, we miss Richard, but also too
Yes, we do.
integral part of the team, and also the spirits like Richard too. So Richard, come back to us. Come rejoin our team. Actually, we're going to head to the Farnsworth House in October for a special edition of Haunted Hotels Live Presents Dead Ends at the Farnsworth House again in October. So, guys, it's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Haunted Hotels Live. And again, thank you all to the producers and to the cast and crew. And we'll join you next time on Haunted Hotels Live Presents Dead Ends.